And we are live. What is going on, Legend? But welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got, again, very special guests. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know him by now. We've got Flawless previewing the Manchester United game. Flawless, how you doing, man?
Hey, big up Neil every single time, man. Always good to talk to you, especially when I'm Ten Hagless. You know what I'm saying? I'm free from the rain, but big up for having me on the channel. Appreciate it, man. Every single time.
Yeah, no worries, man. But let's get onto that again, because I know that's been your... You finished celebrating yet? Because I know you've been, what, for a year and a half you've wanted him gone? More than that?
It's been a long time, man. It's been a year and a half. It feels like 20 years. That's what it is. It feels like 25 years and a half. That's what it feels like legit. So no, like people are like, you finished celebrate? Absolutely not. I've still not finished. I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I might celebrate for the rest of the year. Because I never realized how miserable I was until he was gone. And then I just was like, yo, we really was in hell. Like, it really was that bad. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to celebrate.
Stockholm Syndrome, not even Stockholm Syndrome. You don't realize it's bad until you come out of the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Facts. It's like a bad relationship. You don't realize how bad the relationship is until you're out of it. And you're like, whoa. Like, I was legit miserable. And that's where I was at with Ten Hag. It was just pure misery. So, yeah, it's great to be out of that. But big up for having me on the channel. I appreciate it. Yeah,
no worries. And then just coming into, and more than happy to have you on. And in terms of coming into, obviously, a little bit about him, even in the summer business, were you impressed? Were you happy with the business that you did?
You know what? Surprisingly, I was. Even though I was critical of Ineos, I didn't want Ineos, and I'm still critical of Ineos now. The window actually surprised me. That is the one thing the ownership did well. The incomings in terms of the players we bought, the prices we bought them at, and also the speed in which the deals was done. There's no player I look at and go, oh, we definitely got overcharged for. We got bumped for. Even if it's players like I see Xerxes getting criticism. And I understand it to an extent, even though some of it's over the top. But even if he flops, it's not like we paid 80 or 90 million for him. Mazraoui's been a steal. I think he's been value for money. He's been the best signing in the window out of in the entire league. I think he's 12 million. The licks look good. Agate, you see it already against you lot and against Chelsea. But Agate is at a level where you know if you play him a certain way, what you're going to get as well. And Yoro's not played yet. So overall, I don't really have any issues. So the window I liked. I was like, okay, that's a positive step.
Yeah, fair enough. And we're getting some of those players in particular, but just mentioned yesterday, Sean's already in the chat. Big up, Sean. Gone, not forgotten.
Gone, but not forgotten. It's crazy, It's crazy.
It's a Ten Hag. But yeah, shout out Sean. Sean's always here. And in terms of that and some of the specific things, so Mazraoui is one of the players I want to touch on in particular. What does he give you that wasn't there in the team before? Just
a consistent standard. That's what it is with Mazraoui, because I had my doubts about him joining. I had my doubts because I was like, I wasn't against the signing, but I was like, all right, more of the same. Because too many times we're signing players and people are like, oh, they're better than what you have. But what we have is terrible. So it's easy to be better than terrible. But that doesn't mean it's good enough. Whereas Mazraoui is just the ultimate professional in regards to consistency level. He is 7 out of 10 or more every single game. Defensively, fine. On the ball, fine. Even getting forward, even though I think on the Amorim system, we'll see him more in the final third. Also fine. The biggest compliment I can pay him is anytime I see him in the lineup, no matter who we're playing, no matter whether he's playing right back or left back, or who the winger is he's facing, I trust him to do his job. Just does everything to a good level. That's what I would say.
Fair enough. And I think that's one element that is kind of underrated in football. Can you be consistent? Can you do it again? And that's what makes a champion. Not somebody that can perform 10 out of 10, then 5 out of 10, then 10 out of 10, because you will drop points. If you're consistently performing, do you think it's something that's in the likes of, you look at the likes of football's quicker than ever before now.
Yes.
And in terms of people's reactionary, people want results straight away. Do you think that's something that gets overlooked in modern day football? Is the consistency of just a genuinely good level?
Oh, absolutely. It's really disrespected. Simply because, especially when it's from a player like Mazraoui who does nothing flashy. Mazraoui's not a comps player. If you put his highlight reel together, it isn't going to look exceptional. Nobody's putting together a Mazraoui comp. However, the players you mentioned who are inconsistent, if you're 10 out of 10 one day and you're an attacking player, and you take a comp from that game, make you look like £100 million player, but then you're 5 out of 10 the next game, then you're 3 out of 10, then you're 8 out of 10. So Mazraoui, yeah, people really do underestimate consistency because that's what gets you over the line. Of course, you have your attacking players who are the players everybody talks about. They're going to score the goals and to win you the games, but having that base, especially whether it's the defenders or your defensive midfielders who are just consistently good. Like, if Manchester United, if all of our players had played to the level of Mazraoui, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. Because you know what you're getting. He is going to play to a good level regardless, and you need that. And like I said, it surprised me. It surprised me how good he is.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think, again, a couple of other players you mentioned. We'll come on to one that I don't think got enough headlines, in my opinion, compared to the income. It's actually the outgoing. What did you make of Jadon Sancho's loan to Chelsea?
That's where we dropped the ball. That's as much as I praised Ineos for the incomings and the outgoings, because we made more money from outgoings that we've ever made before. And that's something people have been critical about of Manchester United in regards to our selling. The Jadon Sancho's the only deal we got bumped for. Everybody knew, I was saying this and you know this because we worked together, from last summer, not 2024 summer. I said in the summer of 2020-23, we should sell Jadon Sancho. And I'm a fan of Jadon Sancho. I think he's a very, very talented player. However, I looked at our manager, I looked at the style we are playing. It does not fit Jadon Sancho. People are like, how can you sell? Because then I had people who I know rate Jadon Sancho telling me, how could you say sell one of our talented players? It's not a shot at him. It's profiles. It's a system game. He was never going to work. And then you see what happened. Him and Ten Hag fall out. He then goes on loan to Dortmund, plays well at Dortmund, and then comes back in the summer. And I get the whole, they've made up. But what we should have done, as soon as Sancho was on his way back, sell him then. Because we were still had some form of leverage. But then you get to the last day of the window, you have no leverage left. Everyone knows you want to get rid of him. Everyone knows the player doesn't like the manager doesn't like the player. And then that's why Chelsea can come in and get a steal, and they did smart business. They took advantage of a situation. Yeah.
And that's part of it. And do you think there's a chance? Is it a loan with option to buy? Is it?
No, it's not. It's an obligation to buy.
Obligation.
It's obligation. So it's 25 million.
Appearances or gone.
So the deal was done from the start. It's 25 million. They get him for two. So they got a very, very good player for a steal, and that's our fault. And I say this all the time about transfers when it comes to Manchester United. When you're the A side, take full advantage of that. When you're the B side, you just have to stomach and take whatever the other team is giving you in regards to the offer for the play. We had no choice, because if we don't give him that deal, we have an unhappy player on our books. And the ironic thing with Amorim coming in, Sancho fits that system to a T. 2 10s. He fits that system to a T. Even when he was at Manchester United, I was saying, Sancho, yes, can play out wide, but he's a central player. That's the best of him, I think. And now we have a manager who plays 2 10s, who fits what Sancho does. But hey, Manchester United Football Club for you.
Well, with that, again, do you think, obviously, I know you're not a fan of Ineos, and you're right, because something people forget, again, obviously people celebrating Ten Hag, still got a year extra contract, still bought in, still it's going to cost the money. The money that you spent on probably keeping Sancho, you're probably, with the amount of money it costs to get Ten Hag binned and also to bring in Amorim for this stage in the season where he doesn't have a window, it would have been just better to do it in the summer. This just doesn't, again, and it's something that doesn't get brought up enough. Yep. The business should have been done. I don't know why this makes no sense in order to give Ten Hag an eccentric contract. A, B, then mug him off to 9 games, and B, bring in Amorim when it would have been cheap to go in the summer.
Incompetence. That's what it is, and this is why I wasn't a fan of Ineos before they had got part ownership of Manchester United. When they got here, I didn't like it. When I seen how they was moving outside of the transfer window, I didn't like it. The fact that they all agreed to get rid of Ten Hag, that was the right move. The fact that took so long. The fact that there was this big self-assessment. What is there to assess? If you've been... I'm from the outside looking in and can tell you this man's not good enough. But yet you've then took over in February or March, and then you've had to wait until May. And then here the thing is, they then all unanimously agreed to get rid of him because we actively were looking for another manager, which is the right move. However, we looked at Tuchel, which wasn't the right move, but that's a whole different conversation. The Tuchel deal then falls through. We then have no second option. We then go back to Ten Hag. We then give him 2 managers in Hack and Ruud van Nistelrooy alongside him. You then give him an extension, like you mentioned. You then give him more talented players. You then sell more players, and then it gets worse. And then it takes you until October pretty much November for you to sack him. We in the worst form we've ever been in. The last time we got, I think, 9 points from 10 games, Manchester United were relegated, and this was the 70s. And it took you until this point. All the records he broke. So that's why I don't give them no credit for... I don't give people credit for putting out fires that they started. This could have easily been... And people was trying to gaslight and say, oh, maybe they're waiting for such and such a manager. And I said this is before Amorim. I said, whatever manager we sign next was available in the summer. Amorim was at Sporting. Amorim wasn't a secret. It's not like Amorim was like unknown in the summer and then Sporting have started off at blistering pace and everyone's like, oh, Amorim. He was my second choice in the summer. I wanted Flick and then I wanted Amorim. Flick obviously went Barcelona, so I said go get Amorim and then we've got him. And people are like, well, you happy to get the first choice? Yes, but look at the time you've wasted. 11 games in the Premier League, 3 games in the Europa League. Why? For what?
And that's the thing. And I hear that. And that's what makes sense to me. And people like to look at it from a very simple and linear perspective. Well, Ten Hag went, they brought in a better manager, but it's the context which is super valuable around that. But in terms of Amorim, you mentioned you're excited. Who do you think is going to be the biggest victim? Who do you think is going to lose out because of it? We've seen that with he's coming in with a specific philosophy. Same with when we had Enzo Maresca. There were certain players that were like, this don't fit the system. You got to get gone now. Who do you think they are?
There's a few. I think Garnacho's one. Because, like I said, he plays wing backs and he plays 10s. He don't play wingers. So he'll play 2 10s behind a striker. I think Garnacho will struggle because I don't think he's a wing back. And I don't think he's a 10. Rashford is unpopular one because people have mentioned that. I don't think Rashford's a wing back. Rashford's not a 10. Maybe he could play striker. Maybe he could play striker because Rashford is better in a 2. So maybe he could with players around him. He could be. But the wingers are the ones that stick out. Garnacho, Rashford. Yeah, they're probably the 2. They're the main 2 for me. I think everyone else can play the system to an extent. Anthony was finished anyway, so that doesn't really matter. He was gone regardless of the manager. Mount the same, regardless of the manager, but Mount don't fit the system either because he can't play the 10 like that, and he can't play he can play the 10 but not to a high level, and he can't and wing back. Right? So yeah, I would say Rashford and Garnacho are the players who have actually been playing.
Fair enough. And how have they been this season? Because I know Garnacho scored against us, but and Rashford scored. No, Rashford didn't play against us in that game. But how have they been so far this season under Ten Hag? I know everything's been crap.
There you go. You just said it there. Everything's been crap.
I know.
And they've been a part of that. Like, and here the thing is, our attack has been rubbish from the start. Ten Hag, even the first season, which was good, our attack was terrible. It's just that Rashford had the season of his life in terms of stats. In terms of goals and assists, he had the season of his life. We scored 50, I think it was 58 league goals his first season, 57 the season after. And then all of a sudden, and I was screaming about this all summer long. Where are the goals? When people were telling me United are doing well, I kept saying, where are the goals coming from? We don't have creativity like that individually. We don't have goal scorers like that individually. And then we don't have a manager who's implementing a system to help the team and cover their deficiencies. Like Ange does it at Spurs. Do I rate Spurs' attack individually? No. But we're sat here 10 games into the season and they're the highest goal scorers in the league. Why? Because he's implemented a system that allows them to create so many chances that just volume you take them. We don't do that. So we don't have the attacking players to cover for the deficiencies of the manager, and then we don't have a manager to cover for the deficiencies of the players. So then that's why you get what you get. This is why we scored. We were less than a goal a game. We had scored 9 goals in 9 goals. Was it? Yeah, it was 8 goals in 9 games under Ten Hag. Yeah, so like with Garnacho and Rashford, not good enough. Yeah, we don't score goals in the Premier League.
9 to 8 goals. Yeah, you're right.
8 goals in 9 games.
8 goals in 9 games.
And bear in mind that one of those games is Rude. So it was 7 and 8 because he didn't take charge of the Chelsea game because our attack isn't good. And it's something we should have addressed in the summer. We didn't enough with Xerxes, and we need to address it with Amorim now. Do I expect Amorim to get more out of the attack? Yes, but it still will need to be addressed and improved upon in the summer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But you're right. But again, coming in now, he's just got the players to work with. Yes. So again, that's what I mentioned, who's the victim, because those players just going to be just sidelined. Be interested to see what happens with some of them. But coming into that, you mentioned you're excited for Amorim. What specifically about him did you want? Is it the style of play? Is it kind of his management? Because some managers, even though they've not got the best style of play, they get the best out of the players that they work with.
Yeah, it's more so when I looked at, but before I even did like my research on him in more detail, how he was being spoken about by everybody. Like this is before Manchester United signed him. Like people who are like the likes of Jez and Steve and like my guys Kaneki, who watch much more football than I do outside of the Premier League, they waxing lyrical about him. And then you see mainstream media, you see social media waxing lyrical about him. And then you actually watch his sporting sides, which I've watched a couple times in Europe, and you see his style, he sticks to his style of play with the back three. That's what I like. He seems to be a good man manager. You hear no hearings are falling out. And also, he's won major honours. Like people will say, oh, it's the Portuguese league. That matters though. Bear in mind, I believe he brought Sporting their first Portuguese league title in 20 years. That's not no easy feat. And I think he's won 3 league titles, I think it is. I know he's got a Portuguese FA Cup, well, their version of the FA Cup as well, maybe more than one. Also been in Europe.
Trophy.
Yeah, trophy's a trophy. Even though he's not won in Europe, he's also got experience in Europe as well. He knocked out Arsenal, for example. And then he did a great job with Braga as well. People overlook that. And I didn't know that till recent that he actually finished inside the top 3 in Portugal. And that's hard to break up the big 3 of Sporting, Benfica and Porto over there. Because if a team does that over here, we're waxing lyrical. If a team outside of Liverpool, Arsenal, or it's Manchester City, break up the big 3, we're waxing, like, let's say Forest do it, or Brighton do it, or Brentford, or whoever. We're hyping up that manager and saying how he's done such a good job. So I give him credit for that too.
Season.
Yeah, like Villa, you see Emery get the plaudits, and rightfully so. So that's how I'm looking at it with him. So I like everything I see from the outside, and more so he sticks to his principles as well, and all the things I mentioned in regards to the accolades. So I go, let's give him a shot. Like, I'm not watching the Portuguese league week in, week out, but from what I've seen, what I've heard, I like enough to the point where I go, yeah, give him the job.
And with that, because the thing is, there's a job and there's a Man United job. That pressure breaks people. You've seen Ollie not go into management as a different level because, again, he's had a reputation. Ten Hag came in with a similar reputation to what Amorim's coming in now.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. He was spoken up. He was talked about. He was doing well with Ajax. Had won league titles in Holland. Had won Dutch FA Cups. Had done well in Europe, etc. Obviously, reaching the semi-final, the most notable. And people have used that well. Ten Hag was hyped up. Yeah, he wasn't, rightfully so, because he was doing well, and it didn't work out with him. So are we supposed to just stick with him? No. And you mentioned it there. The Manchester United job is a hot seat. It is, I call it the seat of truth. Because we're going to find out how good you are. If Amorim's as good as I think he is, and general consensus thinks he is, he'll be fine. If he's not, he'll be found out. And people say, oh, Manchester United job ruins people. Because the pressure here is different. There's very few clubs in Europe that are like it. If Amorim is as good as we think he is, he will do absolutely fine. Because you have the chance to go down as a GOAT. You can put yourself in the Hall of Fame if you are successful here. 110%. There's no manager who has been extremely successful at Manchester United that we don't remember. There's a reason Sir Alex Ferguson is spoken about in the manner he's spoken about. Maybe generations before us, but Sir Matt Busby is spoken about in the way he's spoken about because of what he did. So, like, that's how I look at with Amorim. People keep saying, oh, well, what if he fails? We sack him and get another manager. Simple as that.
Thank you, next.
Like, we just go on to the next one. Like, what? I don't understand why people can't comprehend that. You know what? Amorim might not work. Well, it's not the same players. That's a lazy narrative as well. The same players that got Ten Hag sacked are not the same players that Mourinho had, are not the same players Ollie had, not the same players Van Gaal had, because we spent money. Now, spent it poorly, and you can talk about the recruitment and everything that's gone wrong. However, the manager has to be held accountable. And that is on Ten Hag. He got himself sacked. He brought these players in. He co-signed for these players, and he played the way he played.
A lot of money. Not this window, the last window.
The last 2 windows, you spent a lot of money. So you can't say, oh, I didn't get what I wanted to get. So that's on him, and we can't be playing the way we're playing.
You got that and more.
Yeah. Can't be doing all that. Absolute jolting.
And do you think that's the same thing you mentioned about, like, the manager sink or swim? Is it the same with the players? Because, again, you chew through players like no tomorrow, and I'm not saying it's the same. It's true though. In so many instances,
you're right. Because the players are like that. Because we mentioned about consistency with Mazzurri. Sorry to cut you off. You can do that at certain other clubs where you can play 8 out of 10 one week, 5 out of 10 one week, 3 out of 10 one week, and then 10 out of 10 the next week. So you've had 2 good games, 2 bad games, and people ain't going to really talk about it. You can get away with that. At Manchester United, you are under scrutiny. Everything you do is highlighted. Like Garnacho, for example, the criticism he's receiving, that isn't much different to a usual Garnacho performance because he's not good enough. That's just what it is. However, if he was playing at Brighton and putting in those performances is much less of a conversation. If he was playing at Nottingham Forest and putting in those performances, or a Brentford or a Crystal Palace, for instance, much less of a conversation. Manchester United is all eyes on you. As bad as Manchester United have been for 11 years now, we are still a major talking point. We are still the biggest talking point. No matter how good we are, how bad we are, or average, you are under the spotlight. And that's what it is with players. And you'll be found out. If you're good enough, like the manager said, if you are good enough as a Manchester United player and you deliver, you will be lauded as a god. You will be lauded. You will get all the praise. You will go down in the Hall of Fame, as you've seen with our previous players who still got all spoken about now. However, if you're not good enough, guess what? You'll fall away. And I think there is some of these players who can play to a high level. But do we need improvement? Absolutely. Absolutely, we need improvement.
Do you think that's a mentality? For me, it's a mentality issue. And do you think the mentality issue for me comes from the board and the ownership?
Yeah, to an extent, because the board and the ownership are... They're just bad at their job. Yeah, like that's just what it is. They that's why we've signed certain players and there was no plan. Football in 2024, and as it keeps going, becomes more and more year in, year out a system-based game. I always say it, profiles over names. Like you could sit here and ask me and you'll say, oh, who do you want? And I'll give you names as a fan and say, oh, I want this player, I want that player. But the board and the recruitment team and the scouting and the manager should not be thinking like that. I say it all the time. Profiles over names. Don't say go get me him. Say I need this. So I need a left wing back that does this, and this. Okay, here's a list of left wing backs who do that. Here's the prices, here's the ages, injury records, all of that stuff. And then you go select whoever you want. Now, of course, it's easy to go and say, oh, well, go get Kudus, or go and get Nori from Wolves, or go get Bowen, or Alphonso Davies out of contract. These are just names I'm throwing out. All very good players. All very, very good players. Wouldn't be mad if they came in, but I don't want it to be we're going to sign them for the name. We're going to sign them because they fit the system. And like I mentioned with Spurs, with Ange, this is why they're the highest goal scorers. How are Nottingham Forest third? Because they have a system that works. Mm-hmm. Nobody thinks Nottingham Forest are the third best team in the league. Nobody thinks they have the third best manager, third best defence, midfield or attack. How are they third? Mm-hmm. How have Brentford scored the same amount of goals as Liverpool so far this season? Systems. That's what's key. So I'm hoping they are thinking profiles over names. I hope so.
Emre literally is a perfect example of that. When Gerrard came in, system didn't work, came in, took that from literally relegation zone all the way up to Europa League, and then kept them in the Champions League from that. And then they recruited players around that.
That's a prime example. I always use Emery at Villa. Because people say, oh, the United players are bad. Yeah, the players aren't good. But are they better than this? Yes. Because when Gerrard was at Villa and they was just above the relegation zone in 17th, nobody said anywhere that that's a Europa League side. The general consensus was Gerrard's a bad manager, the players are championship level, and they're going to get relegated. Emery went in, signed a left back, just a left back, people. And they weren't no world-class left back, signed just a left back and took them from 17th to 7th. So Amorim has to be, if Amorim's not better than Emery, then he's going to struggle here. So if he's as good as we think he is, then he will do fine and he will improve Manchester United to an extent. And that's what I'm looking for from him from now till the end of the season, is work with what you have and improve the team and improve the players. Get more out of them. The players are average, you know what? Get average performances out of them and get some good performances out of them.
And that's an improvement of what you got so far.
Yeah, and then get some of the average players playing good, get the good players playing well, and then guess what? All of a sudden you've got a team. And that's all it is. And the season's still salvageable. Europa League is there. FA Cup is there. It's not started yet. League Cup, we're in the quarterfinal. These trophies are attainable alongside style of play, alongside performances. And that's what I'm looking for. I have high expectations for him.
Yeah. And he knows that coming into it. And he's obviously assessed that decision. And obviously, as you mentioned, it's been in the summer. He's not stupid. He knows his links have been there. This isn't a new thing for him. This is something that's going to come in. But just getting some of the comments for 1 second. Big up, Georgie. Hopefully you're good. Again, big up, Flawless and did like a
big
share.
Up, Georgie.
Big up for that one. What was it going? This is one thing. Again, so it will be Amorim's first game in charge, isn't it?
Ipswich Town. No, Ipswich Town will be.
Okay, so Van Nistelrooy will be in charge for this one.
Van Nistelrooy will be in charge for this one. Yeah. That's Van Nistelrooy's last one. He's got the one on Thursday and then the one against Eula, and then Ipswich Town after the international break is Amorim.
God. So, fair enough. I've had enough of Ruud van Nistelrooy already. We're at 5 goals in for like 59 minutes and he took his foot off the gas. This is the thing, and this is, I think you did this well against us. It's the right hand side where everybody concedes down. So so this is what we concede: majority of goals down this right hand side.
Down your right hand side, okay.
Right hand side or left hand side? Yeah, right back position for us.
Right back for you lot. So our left, okay.
And that's where you saw Casemiro goal was a screamer, but you saw a lot of goals down that left hand side. The fifth goal for Bruno Fernandes down that right hand side. So again, have you got in terms of that, and obviously what's it called? Van Nistelrooy coming into the team, obviously going to manage this one. How do you think he's going to set up? Is it going to be similar to how you set up against the Carabao Cup?
Yeah, I think it'll be the same. I think it's the exact same setup. I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1. Back, obviously, goalkeeper back four. It'll be Agate next to Casemiro, Bruno in the 10. The only changes will be potentially the front three. So Rashford, Garnacho, Diallo. It'll be two from those three in the wide areas and Xerxes or Højlund up top. But other than that, that'll pretty much be the same team. Probably Dalot, Mazarari as the fullbacks, and then Martinez and De Ligt as the centre backs. And that's pretty much it. That's what I'm expecting the team to be. And all Ruud needs to do just improve the mood, which he did, because everyone was miserable. Everybody was miserable. And you see it when Diallo, look at the split screen, look at the difference when Diallo got on the pitch and subbed on against Leicester, and then look at the difference when he got subbed on against Fenerbahce in the Europa League. And that was everybody. Everybody was
attempting those overhead kicks against us. Brilliant.
Overhead kicks. Agate doing back heels, driving passes. Everyone was just expressing themselves. Everyone was just positive. I keep using the analogy. It's like in Mario Kart when you got the cloud above you and your character goes small and you drive slow and you can't use no weapons. That's what it is. Just pure misery. Like, that's just what it was. He was just a dark cloud over the club and everybody was miserable. The players was miserable. The coaches looked miserable. Fans was miserable. The crowd was flat. Content creators, United fans, everybody was miserable. No one was happy. I talked to my mum about it. She was miserable. Like, when's he going? It was like everyone just flat out, just pure misery and sadness. Because we could just see that he was just sucking the life out of the team. Hey, yo, like, that's just what it is.
Speaking of misery, let's get some comments up again in terms of that. They've given up on the style of football, and this is where we're at the moment. We're in a similar position with our manager.
That's crazy when you said that yesterday about him asking the players what style they want to play. That's mad. I've never heard about that before.
I've never seen that before. And also, you could take it. For me, it's like you can come with your opinion on the situation, and I'll hear it. But this is why I've got the answer, and that's what good man. You just go, no, I'm not listening to anybody else. This is what I'm doing. But if you look at the way that we're setting up, again, that game against you, the last game we played. That is an example of Steve Cooper ball. I wouldn't say at his best, but just in general. And it's nobody really has any idea. It's quite vibey. And this is 10 games in. If it was like 2 years in, you could understand it because people have figured you out. Yeah. I'm never saying 10 games in. The only disadvantage is, again, let's get through some of the comments because otherwise we're going to, you see what I mean? Get Quasimodo out of the club. This is the level that we are at in terms of this. It is, Ward's Floor again. As you mentioned about Ten Hag, praise again.
That's what I am. That's me. I'm not with that. Like a lot of people do that. I do not give you credit for putting out fires you started. Nah, that's just me though.
And this is the thing is people are coming in again. George is coming in again, linked with us again with the bottom of the barrel appointment, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, he was the free appointment. And he was the cheap option. And with a cheap option, we're getting cheap results. But like yourself, we're going to have to pay him off. And it would have been cheap just to go out and get the guy because he was Corberan was available for 4 million. And now we're going to pay more of that to write off his 3-year contract. But again,
as long as you get it done in time to the point where you stay in the Premier League and then you build from there. Because I think you got some. Look at your team, and I think there's some good players there. I don't think you're as bad as you've looked.
And it's the exact same thing as you mentioned before. A manager getting the best out of the player. That's my thing. We've got the players there. I mean, let me just bring up that team that played against you. That team is still decent. Samore,
bad team.
That's a second string team.
That's a second string team.
That's a second string team. Like certain players, Diakordova, Reed, Ayew, they come off the bench and they're substitutes. But that team is, again, maybe apart from the goalkeeper and left back, maybe. That team is good enough to stay in the Premier League, and that's our second team.
So imagine adding to that, like the likes of Vardy, etc., etc. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
get exactly what you're saying. And then Didi. Yeah.
Buonanotte has been brilliant. Winks would come into this team. You've got a good team, and Fast. And I think Fast gets over because he's just a bit clumsy. But
Yeah,
the problem is, you mentioned before about his highlight reel.
Yeah.
Fast's highlight reel is crazy. It's like calamity reel. But
It
they
makes him
get
look
the
bad than it
attention
is.
because it
Yeah,
goes
yeah, yeah, it
round.
does.
You
Yeah,
see somebody
yeah.
heading a goal towards their own goal, and you're just like, "Who is this defender?" And then you put two against Liverpool, so of course you're going to understand.
Yeah.
But if I try and bring up the other team, because we played a second string team, that's the only thing I have is that there will be stronger players, but because the system is not as strong, that could have an effect on us for this. Let me come into the next one, that's EFL. But yes, what else have I got question wise? Yeah, so far this season, I know it's been pretty crap, but who's been your favorite player to watch?
Oh, that's a tough question because I've despised watching us. I've despised watching us. It's been so bad. Probably Maserati because he's the one player, like we said at the start when you asked me about him, who's just consistently been good. And that's terrible that the one player I can point at is a fullback. Because no one's done anything. I really don't rate our attackers like that. I think they're woeful. Midfield, he's just been setting them up terribly. And as you can see, we've seen it against you lot. We've seen it against Chelsea. What happens when you put two midfielders in there? You play as a 6 and an 8 as an 8, and all of a sudden the midfield looks more balanced. All of a sudden it looks more structured. Crazy that Casemiro isn't finished. Crazy that Agate isn't an absolute woeful player. It's mad. Absolutely, that coaching matters and playing players in position helps each other, especially when you've got two players who actually are good partnership for each other. So yeah, probably just Maserati, to be honest. That's probably the only one. Delict to an extent. Yeah, that's it.
Onana's been completely trash.
Oh yeah, he's been woeful. He's woeful. He played well against Chelsea, but there's always a mistake there. I have no faith that at some point in the next 4 to 5 games, he's going to make a mistake that cost us a goal. I don't rate him. I want him gone. Has he been better as of late? Yes. But like I said, when the bar's on the floor, it's easy to be better than that. But is he good enough going forward? No. But surprisingly, he's done better than I expected overall this season.
And if you want to sum up Ten Hag football under Man United, I think Onana is kind of the person that summarizes that really nicely.
Yeah, because he had go on.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Lots of money, big team, lots of expectations.
I was going to say our terrible attack.
Flops.
I was going to say our attack just in general, because you look at the attacking players he bought, that tells you all you need to know. He's bought Højlund, Mount, and Anthony. I don't think there's a worse trio.
And for 200 mil.
Yeah, I don't think there's a worse trio. Yeah, because Anthony was like 80, 90. Højlund was like 70. Mount was 60. I don't think there's a worse trio in terms of, like, as much as he's got things wrong signing wise, defensively I ain't minded us too much. But like going forward, our actual final third players, because Casemiro does get forward even though he's a central midfielder, is Anthony, Mount, Højlund. That sums him up. Because they're 3 players who don't even get mentioned when we're doing 11s. They're forgot, especially Mount and Anthony. Like they're the forgotten men. Like when you see people do predicted lineups, they never even enter the conversation, those two. And Højlund enters the conversation simply because Xerxes just got here. If we had a striker who was average, he wouldn't get a mention. Would not get a mention.
Fair enough. And then let's just bring it back again in terms of, again, we've spoken about a lot of things. It's a bit weird because A, I spoke to you yesterday about this. B, you've changed manager. You don't exactly know what's going to happen. You kind of know, but you don't exactly know in the kind of game. Van Nistelrooy, again, he's only been manager. He's going to be here for what? Next game? And is he getting binned off, or is he bringing all of his staff with him?
Amarim's staff are definitely coming with him. We don't know in regards to whether Van Nistelrooy is staying or not. I think he's leaving. I think he'll probably leave. But I could be wrong.
I think this next game puts him in the shop window, and then he's going to see what he does from there. If he wants to go back into management. I'm surprised he took an assistant manager role, though.
I think he took an assistant manager role because he knew this was going to happen. He knew this was going to happen. Anyone with sense could see that whether you had to wait 3 months or 9 months or 12 months, eventually you're being brought in as an interim because Ten Hag, they tried to get rid of him in the summer. So at some point that's going to happen. Now, I thought it was going to be less.
Giving him another contract.
There was no logic. It was incompetence, Neil. They showed their incompetence. They're just bad at their job. It made no sense because they all unanimously agreed to get rid of him. and then kept him because they couldn't find a replacement. Those things there all are major red flags and major issues that they couldn't. Amarim was there in the summer, and now you've made a tough job for him even tougher. You're now bringing him in 11 games into the season. You're now bringing him in, he can't assess the squad over the summer. You're now bringing him in, and he can't even add 1 or 2 players. You're bringing him in 3 games into the Europa League. Bringing him in, we're 13th with a minus goal difference at the start of November.
You're bringing him in, and all of the players are jetting off out of the country.
Exactly that. So you've made his tough job, which would have been extremely tough, now even tougher on him. So I'm looking at it and going, that's just incompetence on your part.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And then, again, just as we mentioned last time, that was our second string team. This is going to be our first string team. I'll give you some of those players that you might, again, fast mention, Vestergaard, Ndidi, Winks, Fatawa, I forgot to mention, Buonanotte is decent.
He's impressed me when I've watched him, Fatawa. No, I've not watched a lot of you lot, but he's impressed me when I've watched him. And then Vardy's just Vardy.
But again, he's been starved of absolutely everything because again, you know, you've had this under Ollie where it is just individual brilliance wins you the games.
Yeah.
Vardy's had that. Buonanotte's been another one as well where I've rated him. He's brilliant, but he's trying to do everything himself. And when you've got that as a young player, it's not your fault. This is second or third game we've played 2 wingers. We've always just played 1 winger. It's really dumb. Yeah. Normally we've just played 1 winger in Mavididi, or we've dropped Fatawa out of the game, which I've been talking about as well. But in terms of this, when you look at the team, I mean, we're talking about the system and everything. I think you'll be fine against this team. And I think, being honest, if we can lose by less than 2 goal difference, I think that's a win for us.
Yeah, I get that, because when you're battling relegation, goal difference matters. Like, you can legit stay up because of goal difference, and obviously confidence-wise as well. You're not trying to get packed 5-6-0. I don't think it'll be that. I think it will be a competitive game. I do expect Manchester United to win the game, and if we win 2-0, cool. More than that would be even great, because I'm just looking at it and going, Rude, if you beat Leicester, it makes that point against Chelsea even better. 4 points from 6 from those 2 games. You then beat Leicester in the Carabao Cup. We should beat PAOK in the Europa League. 3 out of 4. You've then given Amarim a great platform to then build. Well, a good platform, solid platform, I should say, to then build from. And then you go from there. That's how I'm looking at it. Get the win, rise up the table, get some more confidence in this team as well. Because we ain't winning the Premier League in, I think it's like 3-4 games now. I remember the last time we won in the Premier League.
And I think, as well as that, even from a selfish perspective, you put yourself in the front window. If somebody wants you manager-wise, you've then gone, look, I've just done this with the Man United team that was terrible, and I've just done this. Who wants me? Not as easy as that, but you know what I mean? You're putting yourself in a better position, even from a completely selfish perspective.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just looking here. Yeah, it's 1 game in the last. We beat Brentford, but it's like 1 win in the last 3-4. So, and yeah, players now have a point to prove, because the manager could be watching and could be like, all right, let's see what's what, because everybody is gonna have a clean slate, and probably everybody's gonna get a chance in the first couple months, which I'm cool with, because he's been brought in. I would not have been happy about that if he was brought in the summer. I'm like, no, assess the squad, see who can play your system. Like beforehand, no more clean slates, no more remontadas, and I still don't want any more remontadas. However, it's going to be clean slates, because you have to work with these players at least up until January and then the rest of the summer. So, coach, this is why you're paid the big money. This is why you have the reputation you have. Now you have to deliver. It's easier to manage when everybody's fit and firing, and you got 11 world-class players to top-class players. That's much easier to handle. But how do you handle it here? Now, coach, now implement your system to get better out of these players. And I'm hoping he can do that, and I think he can. So I'm expecting him to do that.
Fair enough. And I think just coming in, and it makes sense. Again, it totally makes sense. And it's just, with Man United, again, as you mentioned, you can chew people up and then they're gone by the wayside, or you're going on and then you're actually becoming. But it's a good step in the right direction, I think. And obviously you've been wanting that for ages. I'll change gears a little bit and going up to this one, bringing up this one, just towards the bottom of the table. Who would be your 3 to go down at this moment in time?
You know what? Wolves, Southampton, Crystal Palace.
You think them 3?
Yeah, the 3. Yeah, they're the 3 I'm looking at. Even though Ipswich haven't won, Ipswich are entertaining to watch. I'll go out my way to watch Ipswich. I've been super impressed in regards to this. Ipswich fans, maybe not as much, but just from a neutral perspective, because they don't do the typical team who's come up from the Championship. Let's sit 10 men behind the ball and let's defend. Like, they are expressing themselves and taking the games to teams. This is why they've been in the games they've been and scored. There's been a lot of goals in their games. And so, yeah, I would say Wolves. I think Wolves are finished. I look at them and I go, you can't keep selling your best players and not really replacing them. Southampton, I just think awful. I think Southampton are the worst team in the league. And then Palace, it seems the new manager bounce for Glasner's disappeared and losing Elise. Eze's not at it, and I look at them and I go, who's scoring? You signed Eddie and Nketiah. What are you really trying to do? So I look at Ipswich and I think they have enough going forward well to get out of it. Everton with Sean Dyche. I think you lot will eventually sack your manager and be okay. West Ham, I think, also sack Lopetegui, and they've got enough. So yeah, I'm looking at those three.
West Ham.
Who are you saying gets relegated? Who do you think gets relegated?
I don't think it's us.
I don't think it's you.
I think it might be them three. But I'm with you. If we continue with this manager, I think we get dragged into this because our running after this ain't kind. If I go through some of the, again, we've got you guys. We've got Chelsea, Brentford, West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, Wolves, Liverpool, Man City to the end of the year.
That's not kind. You have to beat the teams around you.
Yeah.
You see, I think you mentioned Wolves and Ipswich in that run, right? Oh no, Wolves and West
Ipswich
Ham.
already played just last game.
So yeah, Wolves and
West Ham and Wolves.
Yeah, see, they become key games in that running. So even if you get draws and losses in the other games you mentioned, but you win those two, that helps you like keep your head above the water type of thing. But yeah, I think you got enough quality in your side to stay in the Premier League. I would say so.
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, I bring up that squad again. Even the second team squad that we played against, you look at that. There's some decent players in there. Even with the first team, if I go back to the first team, well, the first team that's going to play against you probably. With again, Ricardo Pereira, underrated as a player, brilliant. He's going to, so basically the way we work, and because again he's copying the homework of Enzo Maresca, he'll bring Ricardo in as fullback. He'll push Ndidi up alongside, so it's a 3-2-4-1. Yeah. But I don't trust him. And again, as you mentioned, as a manager, you've got all the ingredients there of a great squad. But because your tactics, you're just inept, you can't get the best out of them. I'd love to be proven wrong. Give me the time, prove me wrong. But you know, when you see something enough, you go, I've been there. I know what to see.
You know it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yes, that's pretty much what we got. And again, Ipswich have got a good team, but my thing is, they play good football. However, they've risked football. They've got the lowest value squad, and they decided we're going to get the best potential championship in the league, and we're going to try and play football. If it doesn't work, then we go back to the championship with an elite squad.
That's true.
But that's totally fine. But they've come from League One to Championship to Premiership with the same pretty much similar squad.
Not added like
nothing, and that's absolutely fine if they get relegated because they're brilliant, but they're not Premier League quality. Southampton, shocking. Yeah, last year they were shocking.
Yeah, they're a shocking outfit, man. Southampton are a shocking outfit. Like I watched them and it's like there's just very little going on. They got Diblin on the right wing who seems decent, but like other than that, and again, this is limited knowledge of watching them. I mean, limited time, of watching them. Well,
have you played them this season?
Yeah, we beat them 3-0.
Yeah, it's easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the fact that we beat. Yeah, they missed the penalty early on, but yeah, the fact that we beat them, it's like comfortably. It's like they got nothing. They got nothing going forward.
And for us, we conceded. We probably could have. Well, we conceded 2 by half time to them. That's how bad we were. He changed it to Enzo's system. We ended up winning the game 3-2.
Yeah, you know what? It was late, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the late goal. Good highlights.
Yeah. It was great, but at the same time, and credit to him for changing. But for me, it's you have to give credit for him to change the system and going and winning the game from being 2-0 down. But people are less likely to go, well, why were we in that position to begin with? And people are only willing, probably with you on your fan base, people are only willing to have one side of the argument.
Oh, yeah, facts.
Just give them the positives. Well, yes.
Yeah.
Right,
why are we in the situation we're in? Yeah, the Manchester United shouldn't be. Look where we are in the league, man. We're 13th, 14th.
But nobody's mentioning it. That's what I found. Even at 10 I was like, well, why are you? Because I used to, even on Shameless, I used to meme you and go, well, look where you are. We're crap and you're just above us. How's that happen?
And people still defended this. And the crazy part is, if they hadn't pulled the trigger, and let's say we drew against Chelsea, there'd still be people defending Ten Hag. This is one thing I've realized in this space, and fans will defend anything. There's a portion of our fan base who will defend any. We could be 17th, and fans would still find a way. Yeah, we could be in a relic, and fans would still find a way to. Like I said, we had our worst ever start last season. No, sorry, worst ever finish in the Premier League. Worst ever start last season. One that he broke this season. And the last time we had 9 points from 10 games, we got relegated in the 70s. And people still found a way to defend it. Oh, it's the play. All right. So I don't even have these conversations anymore. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know what else to say.
Just from your perspective as well, from Amorim, what are you expecting in the short term this season? Because let's be honest, you've cup competitions, you're in Europe, still in Europe, right?
Yeah, Europa League. League. We still got 5 games. We've got 5 games left in the Europa League.
I don't understand the new format. I'm not clever.
Basically, it's just a league. It's just a league format. So it's like the 24. It's the 24 teams in Europe, and you play one team once. Not every team. You play 8 games, so it's a selected 8 games. So you won't play everyone. So out of the 20, is it 24 teams? However many teams are in it. I think it's 32. Let me double check that.
I think it might be 32 because they extended it to bring in this format.
Yeah. So I think it is, yeah. I'm just having a look here. So yeah, there's 32 teams. No, 36, sorry. So there's 36 teams in it. 36, but you play 8 games in it. So you play 8 selected teams once. That's what it is. And then whoever you fall is points-wise is wherever you fall. Then the top 8 go through to the round of 16. And then 9 to 24 play a playoffs to then get through to the next round. So that's what it is. So basically, we got to finish top 8 if we don't want 2 extra games. But yeah, in regards to Amorim, I'm looking at our fixtures. I believe in this new format, it's 15 points. That secures you top 8. We've currently got 3 points. We've got 5 games left. Look at the teams we're facing. If we don't win 5 from 5, something's gone wrong. If we can't beat Bodo Glint and Victoria P and PAOK and FCSB, blow it all up now. Because we're nowhere near. What's
it called? You know, Pro Evolution, where the players used to be made up.
Yes.
It's like them kind of teams.
Like Roberto Lacos. Yeah. All them ones, yeah. Like,
sounds
if
about
we
right.
can't beat...
Copyright-free FC.
Yeah, them ones. If we can't beat those teams, I want 5 wins from 5. So Europa League, I really want him to target that. FA Cup hasn't started yet. Obviously, draw dependent. Really want him to target that. League Cup, we're in the quarterfinals playing Spurs away. We beat Spurs away. We're then through to the semi-finals, and then you're 3 games away from a cup.
But is that what you want? Do you want the cup competitions, or is that just like a bonus? Or you
No. Europa League, to me, Europa League should be priority. Because people say, league top, and I get to that in a second. Top 4. One, I never hype up about top 4 because there's no trophy for it. But 2, if you win the Europa League, you get what you get if you finish in the top 4 alongside a trophy. To me, that's our most favourable route back into the Champions League is winning the Europa League. And of course, if we face an athletic club, if we get a Lazio, for example, if we get one of the clubs from the other top European leagues like Serie A, Bundesliga, La Liga, I hear it to an extent. If we go out, we might just run into a team who have our number. But there's no way, a Cypriot team or a Greek team should be knocking us out at this competition, or Moldova or Estonia or something like that. So I really want us to favour the Europa League, FA Cup and League Cup. If it's there, especially with the favourable draws, go and do that. And in regards to the league, I'm looking for an improvement, first and foremost, of course, with the results. But performances after match. I'm looking for you to implement your style. So forget points for a second and results. How is it looking? You've played a back 3 at Sporting. Don't come here and play a back 4. I don't want to play a back 3. Yeah, play a back 3, play your way. So the point where I can know exactly how we're going to play, and I go, all right, I can see what he needs. When we lose or draw games, it's, the quality's not there. How does he adapt to things? How does he deal with playing away at Arsenal compared to playing at home to Southampton? What are the changes? If they're slight changes, are they big changes, etc.? How do you deal when we're on a bad run of form? What are you like in terms of dropping players? How have you improved players? How have you improved the team overall? Because in his first, I think it's like 9 to 10 games, we're away at Arsenal, away at City, and away at Liverpool. So, but then outside of that, you have favourable games. We play Everton, we play Ipswich. So I look at it and go, okay, go pick up points, but I'm looking for an improvement all around.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And that's pretty much everything I got from you. Anything else? Because again, it's short-term ambition mentioned, everything else, and it's just a bit. It's just a weird position at the moment. Because A, we played you. B, we're going to play a similar team. But how do you think that Van Nistelrooy's going to do in the next game? I know you're predicting the future, but that's the only thing.
Yeah, I think he'll do fine. PAOK, we should beat. We should beat them 100%. If we don't beat them by at least 3-0, if it's not at least 3 goals we score in that game, something went wrong. And then Leicester, obviously, will be a tougher game. You're playing your first team. You lot will be up for that. Go there if we win 2-0. Even if we win 1-0, you know, you'll be up for it. All right, I'll stand corrected then.
What it is, I want them to be. Trust me, I want to turn up for Man United, but we just look meaty. And that's being kind.
All right, fairs.
That's all I've got. Even Sean's got in the chat. So the quickest he's found out in pre-season, which was we lost 3-0 to Lons, which is again a good team, but what is honestly, he's just been so bad. I've wanted to back him because I give managers time. Yeah. But again, as you mentioned, I want to see a process. I want to see the development. If things aren't working out, I'm like, okay, but I can see where we're going. We're not there yet on the journey, but I can see where we're going. The car's broken down. Actually, that's where we are. The car's broken down. The sign's out outside the triangle just behind the car. Indicators are on, and there's kind of smoke coming from the engine. But people will still be like, well, we're not in the relegation zone. Well, yeah, we're not moving anywhere. One from Scott as well. Question with Man United fan. Love getting ex-players. How far down the list is Wayne Rooney?
Who knows with these, Scott? Well, keep Wayne Rooney far away from the managerial role at Manchester United Football Club. Leave him at Plymouth.
As far as Plymouth. Further.
Leave it. Yeah, further. Yeah, Plymouth is far away from Manchester. Leave him at Plymouth. 100%. Leave him at Plymouth.
That's all I've got. Flores, again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on, man. Feel free to plug your own stuff. I've got a link to your Twitter and your YouTube in the chat, but feel free to plug away as well.
Big up for having me, Neil. Appreciate it, man. I always love coming on the channel, so I appreciate that. Sarcasm City TV, see it there, people. Sarcasm City TV on YouTube, live every day, talking Manchester United, other Premier League clubs as well. And Sarcasm City TV, follow on the playback as well, because we got watch-alongs over there, Premier League, Champions League, Europa League. And if you're an NBA fan, get over there as well, because we do NBA watch-alongs consistently throughout the regular season, and then when the play-ins and the playoffs start, we do all the games as well. Like tonight, Lakers Grizzlies for those that are NBA fans. But yeah, playback. Make sure you follow us on there and subscribe to the Sarcasm City TV YouTube channel as well.
Nice one. I'll leave them down in the description. Make you go check them out. Shout out Flawless. We'll be back after a post-match of hopefully a not embarrassing on Sunday.
Really not that confident. What's your scoreline prediction for the game? Because your lack of confidence is making me more confident, even though I'm not confident in our attack.
Do you know what it is? Go on. Do you know Chris Rock? Have you seen his jobs versus careers?
Yes. I've seen that.
That's what it is. It is like that's what it is. You've got the career, I got the job. The people that got the career, great. Keep it to yourself. The people with jobs are miserable. And that's kind of, again, that's what came into my mind. I don't want to ruin your thunder or anything, but that's how it kind of feels. Where, again, I'm happy for you, but I'm just getting pissed on. Like, that's what I mean. You got an umbrella, which is great. I'm just getting drenched. Why am I getting drenched?
Because your lack of confidence is making me more confident. And I know you're supremely honest with about your club. So the fact that you're like, we won't be up for it. We ain't really got a prayer. Don't go there and get battered is pretty much. Now, sure, I want to know, because I need this type of confidence, because I am not confident going into this game in regards to beating Leicester heavily. Like, do I think we win the game? Yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was because I don't trust our attack. But the way you're talking,
you saw what you did to us, and you didn't even try.
Yeah, but that was your. That was the second team. The first team is better than the second team. Though. That is one thing. Your B team is better. Your A team is
the same.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the problem. You can rotate. You can put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig.
Pig. Yeah, you're right. Okay, first.
So my score again. I'd anything less than 3-0 is a win. I think if we honestly, I'd say 3-1. We're gonna lose 3-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, as the bar has been set for 5-2, because let's be honest, we didn't create much apart from those two chances. One was a really good goal by El Kanous, really well worked.
Quality.
Second goal was a set piece, and again, fair enough, we got a set piece. Apart from that, did we create anything? No. And then we talked about Mike's yesterday. We went. He goes, right, we're playing defensive players. We're still conceding 3 goals. So what were you doing? Do you know what I mean? At least if you're going to play a 5 at the back, you're going to play defensive football, defend. But if you're not doing that, what would we do? If it's a man to Man United, again, people in the chat, 6-2 are going even worse. Might get
Man
sent
said
off.
6 to 8. Run be that, because if it's a 4 plus 4, we're back in a plus a goal difference. We have -3, so run be 4 plus goals.
Yeah, if we score 2, brilliant. That's how I'm seeing it. Do you know what I mean? But again, against the game in the cup, it was against the run of play that we scored the 2 goals. And after that, we didn't really create anything. The players looked lost of ideas. The manager didn't really know what he was doing. And then after that, he just changed 5 subs and go like a preseason friendly. I will just rotate now, bring on some players. Didn't really do anything. So as you see, we've got the players. We brought on 5 players from the first team. They didn't really make that much of an impact. Not because they're not bad players, because the system just doesn't work, or it's not getting the best out of them. So again, we'll see. That's how it is. But yeah, job, career. There we go. That's how we end that one. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.
There you go.